this is definitely the first time I've ever like gone on camera to say anything ever. Um, there's my cats making a ton of noise. But let's just start off with, I guess, a little bit about me and why I feel the need to actually like record myself and put myself out there. Sorry, I've been sick the past week almost, and I'm so over it. I don't know why. I'm still so stuffed. A little bit about myself. I am. My name's Noah. I'm 23 years old. I grew up in a Mormon household. So I was Mormon growing up. I was born in Provo, Utah, while my dad was going to BYU. Moved to Arizona very shortly after, maybe a couple years after being in Utah, alive, you know. Was always a little guy. I was born at like 4 pounds and 14 ounces or something like that. Yeah, just growing up in that very typical Mormon household. And I felt like we only saw like my dad's side of the family growing up for the most part, because I don't know if it's because they were Mormon. I mean, I think it helped, because when you're Mormon, like, they really encourage you to only hang out with other Mormons. They don't really like you not hanging out with other Mormons or associating yourselves, or unless you're doing missionary work, right? Yeah, funny. I knew I was different pretty early on in life. I remember having fleeting attraction to certain males in elementary school, and I don't know what that, to me, like when I say attraction, what that meant to me when I was maybe in second grade, when I first saw a guy and I felt connected and I wanted to like hang out. That's what I meant by attraction, is like that I was drawn to him. I wanted to hang out with him. He seemed mysterious and cool, and that's just how it was. And keep getting older, and I obviously have no idea what even gay is, because going to Benjamin Franklin, you're hanging out with a bunch of other Mormons, and you're going to a Mormon school basically. But in a way, I felt like something was different, and I never could really put a pin on it in elementary school. Now let's fast forward to junior high, and these attractions kept getting stronger and stronger, and puberty and like that kind of thing started happening, and I didn't really know what I liked, and I was kind of just confused about myself. And I would say I couldn't stop looking at guys. I liked looking at them. I started noticing more about them as we head into junior high, early high school. And still didn't know what to do with it. Still didn't really connect the dots that was what was different about me, but I just knew something was different. But then also I was simultaneously having these same feelings for other guys, in locker rooms, and like I said, puberty, like all those things are going on very strong. As soon as I turned 12, it's kind of all when that happened. And in high school is when I really figured it out. Like freshman year, I took photos for my dad in high school. My dad's a head football coach at a local high school, and he, I was getting into photography. I really liked it, and he wanted me to take photos at these games, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I love doing this. This is a lot of fun. I'm very interested. Like, let's go. So I start doing these photos for him, and we're in the locker rooms before the game, and we ride on bus trips with a bunch of guys, and I felt like I couldn't mess around with the boys the way that guys were messing around with each other. Like, they were closer to each other, it seemed, and I was so envious of their closeness. And I always wanted to be close to a guy. I hadn't had a guy best friend since like second grade. Ever since then, like second grade, all the people I hang out with were girls. They were all girls. And I just sort of kind of got used to that. I was like, they were easier to talk to for me. I felt like I could actually be friends with them, and a lot of times they wanted to be friends with me back, and I appreciated that. Like, and with guys, it just kind of stopped, and I never really had guy friends, and it was hard. And it wasn't hard in elementary school, but in junior high school is when it started getting rough, because as I'm growing and changing, I want guy friends. I want people to talk to relate to be bros with, to like hang out with, and like be like just like a normal guy, right? And when that wasn't really happening, and the guy connections weren't natural at all, and they felt really forced on my part, and probably on their part too, they were probably like, "Who the frick is this kid?" Like trying to talk to me. Like I was like not really sure how to go about being friends with these guys, and I just don't know, and I didn't know. And now I think I know why. I mean, it's probably because it's probably because I'm gay. Like that's just how it is. You know, like I said, the first time I really knew I was gay, but was still scared to even think it, but I knew it. I knew it at that time, was freshman year of high school. And when I was seeing all those guys in the locker room changing, doing things, I was like, I want to be involved. But why are they only broing out with the other guys? And now I get it. Now I really get it. Probably because they knew. They knew. Everyone knew I was gay before I knew I was gay. Let me tell you. That's how it really started. And then, I switched schools my sophomore year, going into my junior year. And same thing. Just the attraction was there. It was very, very strong. I definitely knew at that point. And I was always anxious. Like, I was in a constant state of anxiety 24/7. Like, the gay thing is hard enough, but to have a church that's telling you that you need to act a certain way, you need to be manly, you need to do these things, you need to go on these scout trips and enjoy them, and be a real man, and I just never really liked the scout trips. I hate hiking, I hate physical activity. I and that's gonna eat me in the butt one day. But I just never fully felt like I could be friends with those guys. But also, I never felt like strong enough. I never felt good enough. I never felt masculine enough. And that kind of is. I mean, it's part of why I am the way I am today. And as I started getting older and going through high school, it was becoming more apparent that I needed to start figuring out what I'm gonna do. And I didn't come out in high school at all, other than to some really trusted people. My parents already knew I was gay. They knew I was gay since I was like 12, and like we had talked about it maybe once after that, and like explicitly said, "Dad, I'm gay." Like I think I was 14 when that happened, and he loves me, and he's always loved me no matter what. And that's something that I will never take for granted. That I have parents who love and accept me, because not everyone gets that. And it breaks my heart to see that there are kids out there that have these feelings, that are being told to do something different, and saying that that's the only way back to Heavenly Father, to go to the celestial kingdom, whatever. I feel so grateful that my parents kind of took that hands-off approach, and we didn't really talk about it, but at the same time, they never really shamed me for being who I was. Well, I officially came out to everyone. I started texting my friends while I was living at my grandma's, and I just remember being so anxious. I was like, are these people even going to want to be my friends anymore? Am I going to be all alone? Like, am I going to be embarrassed? Are they going to be embarrassed to be friends with me? But I slowly came out to friends. And then after a while, I was just like, it's time to just make a post, because I don't want to keep coming out to people. I'm out. I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to just be honest about who I am. And that's something I was never really able to do while a church member. So I came out, and it was very church focused, because I still believed in the church. I still believed in the gospel, as people like to call it. And so that post was very kind of church centered and God centered, and God wants me to do this, and which in a way I still believe, but we'll get to that later. I just had nothing but a lot of support, and that was very comforting for me, and I really needed that at that time. And this, shortly after I came out, though, I dropped out of college. I had signed up for community college, and I dropped out like maybe halfway through my semester. And I was like, what am I doing in the like college was just it was not it, and I couldn't wake up for my 8 a.m. classes. And I'm like, I just need to stop. I need to figure out what I need to do. So I kind of had a mental breakdown. Went back to my parents' house and stayed there till the next summer. Worked, housekeeping at a hospital, and it was a fun job, but it was very labor intensive, and so that was kind of rough. Just having my job and just living at home, and my parents were kind of just trying to itch me to get out, every day. So they were trying to get me to do my own thing, and I obviously in retrospect I appreciate that. But right now I was like, are you kidding me? Like, why are you doing this to me? Like, I need help. I my mental health is an all-time low. My mental health really was really crappy. I actually had started medication my senior year of high school because of an incident where I had a crush on a guy in high school, and he we were friends, but I could tell that I wasn't as close to him as everyone else was, or at least a few other people were, or a few other guys. And I was really jealous, and I really wanted that close bond. I wanted to be close with the guy, and I tried. I forced it. I really tried to be really close to him, and obviously it didn't work out. And change of semester was coming. This was my senior year, and I decided well, over Christmas break I had a pretty bad suicide episode, and after that was like, okay, I need to get on medication. I need to help myself. I remember feeling like nobody cared. I remember maybe even a couple days later too, I was just yelling, crying, sitting in the car in the garage, and just hoping I would just die. Like, I just didn't want to do it anymore. Life was painful, and my friends were gone. Nobody wanted to be friends with me anymore, and it was rough. It was really rough. And I remember calling the National Suicide Hotline, and or I remember getting a sheet of paper that had different, like, if you're in mental health or dire need or suicide, whatever, like, call these numbers. And I was calling them. I was wanting to go. I was like, help me if this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm lucky to be here today, honestly. And I got myself out of those pits, and I got myself help. I probably could have gotten more help, but really I just got the help with medication, and that's what's been keeping me going. And as I continued to move on with my life, I moved out of my parents' house and into an apartment. It was my first apartment on my own. Like, can't believe I was doing that. And I met a guy, and we were a thing for almost 2 years. So we were together for 2 years, and he basically was never committed to me, really. And it took me a really long time to see that, and that's why I was with him for so long. We didn't live together. We weren't officially boyfriends. Yet I brought him over to my parents' house all the time. I never got to see his family, though. So I didn't really realize that I was kind of being used, because it's nice to have a boyfriend, and it's nice to, have that connection, which we did have and we did share. But anyway, so got done with that, moved on, and I'm better because of it. And for a few months, I kind of dated a little bit again. I messed around. I had fun. I was done feeling guilty for uh, being me. And when you finally get to that point in your life, so many things happen. And so many good things happen when you decide that being yourself is more important than following the straight and narrow and following, what someone tells you will get you back to heaven. I realized it was time for me to be me, and I was not going to care what other people thought of me or would think of me. Maybe I'm a hoe, I'm a slut, whatever. Like, and I had fun. I had fun for a few months, and then I met my now fiance Nick, and he changed my life. He really did. He is amazing, and our relationship hasn't been perfect. There's been a lot that I've had to unpack in this last year that I'm gonna go. I'll talk about in a later video more about the Mormon upbringing and how I've had to deconstruct. It's been a huge process, but he's been with me every step of the way. But I just appreciate that he's there for me and he listens, and that I can listen to him as well and his experiences growing up. different experiences than I feel good that I finally can actually open up about this and not really feel like I can't talk about it. Like, this is my life. This is what I want to do. And if this helps anyone, or if this is insightful to anyone, Mormon or not, gay or not, great. I'm glad I can be here. If you're growing up Mormon and you struggle, just know it gets better. It really does. And you have to choose. You have to let it get better. You have to make sure that you're going to do what makes you happy. And that's what's most important. And until you do that, you're going to be stuck in whatever way that you've taught yourself or that you've been taught that needs to happen. Um, but I'm telling you now, when you start to take ownership of your life, your decisions, your choices, whatever they may be, and you are happy with those choices and you purposely make those choices, you are going to be much, much happier. Do things for you. It's okay to be selfish. It's okay to to do your life the way you want to do it. Um, there's always going to be people that disapprove or that say that it's not right or that, but why would you pretend to be someone else for them? It's not worth it. I am telling you now, it is not worth it to do that. You are worth it, and your ideas and your plans and what you know is good for yourself, that's what's good, and that's what's ultimately going to be best for you. Is it going to be a learning experience? Yeah. Is it going to go smoothly and perfectly like everything you thought? No, it's not going to be smooth and perfect, but that's the beauty of it. And I don't think God or whoever's out there is going to shame us for trying, for living this earthly life the way it was intended to be lived, with choice and agency. So be you. Don't be afraid to be you. And just know that there's so many other people out there that are in your shoes. You may feel so alone. You may feel like you're the only one going through this. But I'm telling you right now, there are so many guys that hide who they are. And they end up getting married in the church. And then they have kids. And then they're like, crap, I still have these feelings for guys that I never addressed. And so then that makes things real messy for them and their wives and children. And not saying it's bad to start exploring then, or to start um, you know living that lifestyle then, but it's sure of a hell of a lot better as a kid slash adult years, teenage adult years, to figure that out than before you make some really committed hard decisions that are going to alter the course of your life forever, such as getting married or having children. So be you, do your best, figure yourself out, learn about who you are, and don't shame parts of yourself that you may have previously been taught or conditioned to shame about yourself. Love yourself. You can do it. It's hard. I know it's hard. I still find myself not loving myself a lot for various reasons, but the more you start loving yourself, the more you'll have power to do what you need to do in your life and do what you feel is best. So anyway, yeah, I'll be back. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it, you guys.